Hey guys, back at it again, looking at the '06 auto. Um, and I know as the last two videos I've done on the '06 has been this Frankenstein. Um, all of them are still going to be in the S30V range, and out of the generations, I don't really think they were released by generation, but I do know some of the first ones that came out of the autos kind of had a bluish tint, and you kind of had the sword in the mountain and made in the USA on the backside. And as it progressed, it went into getting a shield, and then the logos, or the I guess nameplate, basically made in the USA, Portland, Oregon, S30V, and basically right here I still have three brand new of the '06 manuals. I was lucky enough to come across a store that still had some of them, and I was able to liquidate some of their assets on it. Still stiff, brand new, as I said. Um, and the S30V on these, as you can tell, 8 years. Um, and you can kind of tell just by looking at the serrations. These serrations are about half that length. And if you kind of line their internal hole right here, line them up, you can kind of see that the sharpening. See, there we go. You can kind of see the wear on that. And I'm sorry, it wasn't 8 years. I'm thinking of something totally different. 2 years, 2 years. Um, but these have been discontinued for about, I'm wanting to say 2 or 3 years, because whenever I was able to get this one, it was hard enough just for me to find a manual. Um, and one good thing about, if you do decide to go this route, and then switch to a manual, or to an auto, is the manual scales. The inside is already pre-cut for the auto series. And as you can see, the only difference is, it having that cut for the safety there. And as you can tell looking at that is going to be your retention bar. And yeah, so I mean they're definitely saving money making one liner that fits all. And one thing too, getting into the newer stuff, is the coating they put is a lot more coarse, whereas a lot of these newer scales were fairly smooth. Um, But so overall, guys, the main reason why I want to do this video was for people that put their blood, sweat, tears into their money, and they just want one good knife that can last them a long time, and they can put abuse to, and they don't really have to worry about. And I've seen where a lot of people complain. They say, well, they sheared off these screws, they busted this up. But I mean, I've batoned with it, and I've had no issues with any of the support here on the rear. And by batoning, I'll kind of hold it in the crook of my hand like that, and I can clear brush. Whether I'm hunting, and I mean, I've skinned with this blade, open boxes, pried those heavy duty staples out. I've even pulled one or two brad nails, from trim out of a wall. I just kind of pinned it in between one of these serrations, and I closed it, and I just kind of used it as pliers. I pinned it in there and pulled it out. And I mean, I have no complaints out of this. I'm sure there's tons of other people that do have complaints, but the one thing I like. Okay, so brand new, these are about 150, 169 bucks. But if you look at the secondhand market, there's a lot of people that buy the Tanto version because they think it looks cool, and then it just kind of sits in their safe for so long. I mean, this guy right here I picked up for like $80. The guy bought it, and he was like, "Well, it's just taking up room." Only reason why I bought it was I wanted to see how the G10 felt, and that's literally the only reason. I'll probably end up pulling the blade and doing a reblade. Um, I was thinking of possibly doing a cut from here down and making a modified clip point or tanto or modified drop point. I'm sorry, and then going ahead and rounding this off, giving it a belly, and basically turning it into a drop point, and then I'd feel a little more comfortable using that. But I mean, realistically, if you're good with a grinder, you can put a belly on this. You just want to stop periodically so you don't make the metal lose its temper. Um, but back to what I was saying is you can pick a lot of these up for like 80, $90, on the secondhand market, and they're still going to last you a long time. If you can look over it, just make sure there's not any bent pieces or huge gouges or chunks taken out of the blade. Just make sure everything is operational, and also make sure that the screws are not tore up. That would indicate someone was just constantly going in and out of it, pulling them, torquing them in, because that would probably give cause for a failure. Some screws to shear off or whatnot. But other than that, I would highly suggest for someone's first knife and possibly only knife, if they just needed a folder, a drop point with serrations. Because if it's your first knife, be realistic. You're not going to go home every single day and pull your sharpener out and, strop that whole thing. You're going to wear it out. This is going to be dull, and you're going to do most of your cuts with the serrations. And then once you get around to it, sharpen that up, get some files that fit these serrations, and, keep those honed in. And you should get a lot of life out of them. As always, guys, just leave a comment, like, subscribe, and, let me know if there's a knife that you've been looking at. And, I may look into it and do a review myself. So other than that, y'all have a good one.